Kichimingwich, Kichiminagos and Almasway. Kino Masway ga advocacy again ago, Chigi Oshatai Bombanhet is on again in August. Chigi Minopanat Tisachik Missway, Chigi Minomat Tisachik, Chigi Nakatajik, Upamatisano, Anaman, Kichanaman on a Murchagatek, Saguch, Mingwach Kiritano, Kinaskumitano Missway, advocacy Kenago, Pitabego Nochin, Kichigutano, Mashkego in the Nog. Thank you for that great introduction, Stan. I've known him so long. He's got many characters, and he's always been somebody that you can rely on to be able to be that intermediary between the world we live in and our community, and he's relied on by our community a lot. So thank you, Stan, for what you do. It's a very important role. So Shannin Metatawabin, I'm from Fort Albany, Ontario. Pichtabeg is what we call it. They just recently had a flood for part of their community, so it's something that we deal with on a regular basis. So I lived in my community. It's an isolated community, so I've experienced the reservation, being raised on a reservation. You might have heard of my dad, Edmund Metatawabin. He's still taking the government to court, and I think it's 2 decades later, making sure that the recognitions of residential school survivors is taken into account, and that there's equitable recognition and compensation for all residential school survivors, because there were issues with that, and it's still being taken care of right now. But he wrote a book called Up Ghost River, and it talks about my family, and I even learned a little bit about my family. So what Stan was saying is true. I come from a lot of pressure. My grandfather, he instilled on me that my role is to help the community, and I do the best I can to help my community. And I know that everyone in this room is in this room because they're here to support and help the community. And we got a long way to go, but I envision that we're going to have a new challenge in the future, and that's managing our wealth while healing. Whereas right now we're managing poverty and trying to go down the healing path. But I can see good things into the future for our people. We just have to, you saw that, there was almost a little fight on here, eh? Learning about the complex world of procurement, and it's something that we want to take on, we need to take on, and it's the only transformational thing that can happen, because the government's not doing it right. You don't know who an Indigenous person is, but we do. The IFI network has been doing this for 40 years. We've given out 53,000 loans, $3.3 billion in lending, and we give it to Indigenous people. And that impacts the community. We've created 162,000 jobs from all the loans we give. We've put people in better situations with housing, with food security, with mental health and health indicators. It's an investment to the government in cost savings. Every dollar is $1.26 back to Treasury, so it's an actual investment. And that's why this program has lasted so long. Everything we do is to support the economy of the Indigenous people. But before I get too far into it, I wanted to recognize some individuals. And I first want to ask Chad to come up here real quick, if he could. We have a special group. For the first time ever, we brought some youth to this event, and then I want Chad to be given the opportunity to introduce them so that you can introduce yourself to them and really welcome them into this space. So I'll give this to Chad.
Thank you, Shannon. Could I ask the youth delegates to come up to the stage, please, so they can all see you?
Turn this off for a second. Save my battery.
Yep, come right up. Don't be shy. You're not the one speaking. Just kidding. But yeah, these are our 10 youth delegates. It's actually quite a long story, so I won't take up too much of your time. But anyway, I was inspired by the FMB Leading the Way conference. I was nominated by a NACCA board member to attend. And beyond them paying for my flight and expenses and stuff like that, that entire day of youth programming set up, and I just thought it was amazing, and it was something that the NACCA Forum I felt needed. So I pitched it to my manager, Magnolia, and she was all hands on deck, and so we got this thing rolling, and yeah, here they are. So I have a list, so it might not be in order, but Ryder Davis is coming all the way from Vancouver, Jaden Warner, Logan Smith, Cameron Buchanan, Jamie Nelson, Sonia Stevens, Ashley Salakin, Austin Apatagon, Essence Wandering Spirit, Jove Desjarlais, Jade Naponce, and Letitia Spence, and Keontae Joe lastly. So yeah, we're gonna be out in the hallway, I think after Shannon's speech, so if you wanna come and meet us and kind of get to know some of the delegates, it'd be great. And yeah, we'll see you all at the gala later.
Thank you. So I felt it was really important that you meet the youth. Please go up to them after we're done here. They're going to be at the gala. They're going to be at dinner. Each of them have a business that they're operating right now, and they can always use your support. So please go see them. And I want to see if Michelle Okura is here. Is she in the house? She's not. Okay. So she's the CEO of the First Nations Prosperity Foundation, and I really wanted to point her out. So we've had a lot of success with NACCA in obtaining support for Indigenous entrepreneurs. I just wanted to announce that you've heard it. We signed a 10-year agreement with Indigenous Services Canada to provide certainty to the NACCA network and the IFIs to deliver business support programs into the community. But none of that happens without strong governance. And I want to make sure that we acknowledge the NACCA board. So if I can get the NACCA board to stand up, please. See who's in the house here? All right. So in the back, we have Matt Tapper. Matt Tapper, he's our independent representative. Our newest board member is Charles Weaselhead from Picani. From the Blood, sorry. From the Blood in Alberta. And Elaine Chambers is our chair of the board. She's from Yukon. We have Carol in the back. She's from the Manitoba. Now Ron Morano was here. He usually stands at the back. I don't know if he's here, but he represents Ontario. I don't see any other ones, but we have a NACCA board. Wave if I'm missing you. It's really important. Okay, thank you very much. It's really important to recognize the board. Nothing ever grows and is successful without strong governors. Strong governors need to support the process, the planning, the strategy, and the implementation, and of course, telling the story and making sure that the government hears that story. And the NACCA board has been instrumental in ensuring that this is everything that we're achieving with the additional resources, with the new programs, with the new entities that we're supporting. They're instrumental in that. I was going to recognize FNPA in the board, but I think Mark has already done that. But you know, one thing I noticed, they didn't stand up. So let's have them stand up really quickly. Who's on the board? We've got Ray Wanich. Is he in here? And we got Jody Anderson's in the back over there. We got Mark Dokis. All right. So that's who's on the FNPA board. You guys have questions. You want to get into it with the complexities of it. You talk to them, okay? They're going to be carrying the baton from this time forward. And the last person I want to recognize, I don't know if she's in here. Oh, there she is. So my daughter is in the back. Shannin Metatawabin and Cassidy. They created an initiative called the Silent Jingle. I'm not sure if you've heard it. You might have seen it on the social media. but it's a living art piece. And what they're doing is they're ensuring that we remember and we recognize and we create awareness for murdered, missing, and Indigenous women. So this art piece is a cape that they've created, and they're putting jingles on the cape with the name of individuals that were murdered and missing Indigenous women. They've got more than 100 names on there so far, and if you want your loved one recognized on that, please approach them. They're going to be also at the gala, and they'll be out in the hall as well. So please wave at everybody. Yeah, Lakshmi and Cassidy. Thank you. I think that's always really important to do. Now, Elaine opened us up, and she talked of the founding of the Indigenous Financial Institution Network, and that was the spark. That was the spark that turned into a flame. And that is the important thing. We're in the process of building that fire still right now, because we've been in a place of darkness because of the exclusion from the economy. Now you're seeing with the election and with Canada sort of shifting and creating programs and services, primarily targeting right now our resources and the land, and you're hearing the new Prime Minister sounding a lot like a chief would talk. They want our land, they want our water, you know. It's starting to sound similar. They're starting to feel like what we feel like, right? And it always comes down to living and breathing the treaties that were signed. That was the intent of the signing of the treaties and the sharing of Canada, was that our people intended for us to also be prosperous, to walk hand in hand, share the resources. And that hasn't happened. The country, the other countries, you know that $300 billion of critical resources are exported annually from our territories. And they always talk about the cost of the Indigenous problem. But this is our generational wealth sitting right on our land. And right now is the only time that we're starting to be recognized for the partnership that we have, because we have 300 plus court cases that affirm our rights and title. They can't just go into our lands without asking us. And you're seeing this issue come out again in Alberta, where the Premier is talking about separating. And you can see that she's just unifying our people out there. And I think you just say it, they can try. But it's better to build a partnership, get to the table, share the prosperity, and move forward together. That's the fastest way to do anything. I spoke at another conference, and it shows that we are the key to prosperity for Canada. And I always talk about Canada's prosperity is linked to Indigenous prosperity, and unless you include us, we can slow things down quite a bit for Canada, and that's exactly what we don't need, right? So what's ahead? The IFIs. Before we can think ahead, I always think about where we come from. And sometimes when I speak, they say that, Shannin, you're so negative. Well, they told me at one event. I don't know if it's like every event, but I'm always speaking in a place of trying to get people to remember where our communities are at right now. I remember working in child and family about 20 years ago, and children in care stood at 48%. And our population is just growing. We're at 1.8 million right now. But that socioeconomic indicator is at 53.8% right now. So it's going up. We're not getting better. The number of incarcerated is up to 31%, 31.2%. So it's not getting better. We're still in the same place, although more communities are seeing prosperity and having some success. Now, the value of the IFIs is we want to try to impact the community and create an economy. And we've been doing that for 40 years. IFIs know our community and they know the challenges. IFIs serve a specific niche in the Indigenous lending market. We've thought a lot over the last few years about where we sit in the financial ecosystem, and it's still sort of sorting itself out right now as we see new financial sources of capital wanting to enter the market, right? where we sit in the financial ecosystem is micro, small, and some medium-sized enterprises. We see ourselves from startup to about $5 million. We're developmental lenders. Some of our IFIs are actually doing a lot more lending, up into the millions of dollars. And recognizing that, we created the Indigenous Growth Fund, which you're going to hear about, or which you've already heard about. But we created that 3 years ago, and they've already deployed about $100 million to our network, which allows our network to provide more loans to our community. So that's starting to work. You'll be hearing more about the IIGF tomorrow. Increased capital from the IIGF allows the members to draw on to increase the size and diversity of the loans. Almost all IFIs are expanding their portfolio and are moving into new areas. Areas like Indigenous tourism, you heard about that today. You heard about the Sites program. The demand for authentic Indigenous tourism experience is growing fast. Tourism operations already comprise about 20% of IFI business. They could well be well positioned to meet the appetite. Agriculture and aquaculture, these historically have been fairly small, high-risk ventures. Now our members are issuing loans for projects that add value to the harvest through additional processing. This helps clients reach new and international markets. An increased number of our clients are community-owned businesses, which benefit not just the loans, but the programs that can support the IFIs. And a growing number of our clients have started joint ventures with non-Indigenous partners. As you will hear on the IGF panel tomorrow, such partnerships truly are the front lines of reconciliation, as both partners bring something to the table. Beyond this, our members will always continue to developmental lending, serving the small and medium-sized startups as they were founded to serve. The main thing is that businesses are truly Indigenous. Even as partners, this means the business cannot operate without the Indigenous, without the First Nation, the Métis, or the Inuit partner. To help ensure this, we are going to continue pursuing implementation of the Indigenous business definitions. The Indigenous business definitions was affirmed and created by about 22 Indigenous organizations across Canada, but is yet to be utilized by Indigenous Services Canada in their procurement process. But we really want that to happen. Too many businesses are falsely claiming to be Indigenous, and the first area to improve is government procurement of goods and services. To this end, a special focus will be on the First Nation Procurement Authority, which the National Chief mentioned and this panel just talked about. NACCA was part of the founding of this organization, along with the partners that were recognized here. As you will hear in the last panel, the First Nation Procurement Authority will be critical to Canada seeks to tighten up on its supply chains and procure from Indigenous businesses. This is the value of the IFI network. Our lenders, members, are in our communities. They are professionals. They de-risk projects, but they are ultimately seeking to see improvements in their communities. Indigenous lenders also have skin in the game. They want the projects they fund to succeed, and in turn, IFIs are crucial intermediary organizations. They link communities to their members with private capital and government programs, and NACCA will help IFIs take the next steps to build their infrastructure in the next years to ensure that they can fill that role. As for NACCA itself, we will continue having a strong advocacy role because it remains the case. A lot of the barriers are still in place and resulted from policy failures. This is why we need to be at the table when policy is discussed. As Mark said, this is exactly when you have the idea. Involve us. Too often remain an afterthought, and we've all felt that feeling of being an afterthought. We usually go into that meeting and say, this doesn't represent us, right? So it doesn't really help the process. Trades and tariffs, connectivity for rural and remote areas, youth entrepreneurship, both individually and with our partners. NACCA is going to keep coming up with Indigenous solutions to ensure communities will never again be left out of the Canadian economy. For too many years, our people were left in the cold and the dark. We have ignited this flame, which has grown into a fire. And it's up to us to ensure that the fire burns bright and that it never goes out again. So I thank you for being at this event. It's a very important event to connect. Please enjoy your evening, say hello to your friends, because you want to get some value from this event. It's in the people. So thank you very much. Get to miigwech.